Here's the blessing and here's the curse with Deandre Ayton. Basketball just comes too easily for him. 7-footer with a massive 7'6" wingspan, built like a cut slab of rock at 251 pounds, with the ability to still move as fluidly as someone 4 inches shorter than himself, Ayton was always meant to play basketball. Now, whether he's always wanted to personally play basketball every step along the way is a fair question. And while off the court, there's enough evidence to suggest that his commitment to the game, his commitment to his teammates, and his organization have been inconsistent at best, it is still quite telling that for a player who just got bought out and sent away by his former team, Deandre Ayton has essentially been a walking 16-10 sort of player for his entire career. And for better or for worse, he kinda just rolls out of bed and averages a double-double. Yo, what's going on, Lakers fans? This is Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and while the downside of Ayton's laissez-faire style of basketball almost goes without stating, and while there's no denying that he probably has leaned too much on his God-gifted talent in the past to cover his shortcomings on the effort side of the ball, today I'm going to try to play devil's advocate, or I guess in this case Deandre's advocate, and frame the ease with which Deandre plays as a positive, focusing more on the offensive side of the ball, and at least swing the memeable stigma pendulum back to the middle a bit. Because I think too often, people can conflate the natural ease with which Deandre plays with he's not trying hard enough. So like this video, comment down below, and please hit subscribe, and let's talk more about D-Easy. So when you look at highly skilled players like James Harden, former Laker D'Angelo Russell, and even top-tier guys like Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, some players just aesthetically have the type of game that almost lulls you to sleep and bores you. They're so skilled, they play at their own pace, on their own internal time, their body language can sometimes seem unengaged, to the point where sometimes they just look like they're playing very lazily out there. Now, there are other players like Ben Simmons where the criticisms of natural talent versus does he even actually want to play are more warranted than not, and that's the side of the spectrum we want to stray far away from. But by all accounts, it still seems like Deandre Ayton wants to play basketball, and it still seems like he has a lot to prove. And in that respect, I think the same types of stylistic perception issues that plague some of these naturally skilled and crafty players that I just mentioned also plague Deandre Ayton as well. To put it bluntly, he's kind of like the center version of D'Angelo Russell. And again, I don't necessarily mean that as a slight, more than I mean that as this is how people perceive them because of the way they play, some of the times unfairly so. Because for a big man, outside of gobbling up rebounds, Ayton actually does a lot of non-traditional big man things on the offensive end of the floor. For example, Ayton may not be the most imposing and relentlessly thundering of a finisher in the paint as some players like Giannis, LeBron James, or Anthony Davis are, but don't let what he typically doesn't do detract from the positives of what he can do. Because at the end of the day, Deandre Ayton is extremely skilled, he plays with a surprising level of craft, and he has great touch around the basket. So maybe you want him to go up stronger and posterize that dude at the rim instead of shying away from contact and taking that 10-foot turnaround J. Maybe you want him to back his man down relentlessly beneath the basket like Jokic and really impose his will instead of trying to mini crossover dudes at the free throw line only to pull up. But when you have the soft hands and the long-ass 7'6" pterodactyl wingspan he has to catch and gobble up anything in the paint, when you have the nice touch around the rim that he has and the ability to flip up a shot from either shoulder, when you have the type of coordinated and advanced footwork and even on-the-ball dribbling skills that he has, when you see him easily striding up and down the court with a strange combo of impressive fluidity and awkward loafingness, And when you can trust the efficiency and surprising wing-like fluidity in that pull-up midi of his to stop on a dime, get caught in no man's land, and still be able to drain some of the toughest jump shots over other 7-footers that you've ever seen another 7-footer hit. That's a pretty devastatingly versatile offensive weapon to have in the dunker spot, in the triple threat position, in no man's land, and most importantly, in the pick and roll. And that's a weapon that some of the most visionary playmakers in NBA history, like LeBron James and Luka Doncic, can unlock and work with. But look, when all of that is packaged into a 250-pound 7-footer's body who you feel like should be doing more or looking more explosive, sometimes that incongruence can be hard to reconcile, and it's often easy to just say that Deandre Ayton is being lazy or wasting his talent away. But here's the craziest part. I think this concept of things coming so darn easy for Deandre shows up the most prevalently in how he's perceived as an explosive dunker. Because, let's keep it a buck, Deandre is actually very athletic and explosive. He just actually may be too long and tall for it to always show up sometimes. Because if you actually look at the stats and watch his tape, Deandre Ayton has been a very consistent and effective lob threat. And he jams the ball down and skies above the rim more often than you'd think. I just don't think he gets off the floor with the same type of vertical verve and velocity that you're probably used to from some of the best dunkers in the league, like Anthony Edwards or Aaron Gordon. And whether it's intentional or not, he kind of just doesn't get a lot of lift sometimes on these dunks. And due to his 7'6" wingspan and massive hands, he kind of doesn't need to. But at times, if you watch where he's catching the ball, he's deceptively truly up there. His eye line's at the rim, his hands are above the basket, he's catching balls that are at a far radius away from the rim, and he's flushing that ball through like a little Nerf basketball. And true to the theme of this entire video, it just may be the case that this whole dunking thing comes way too easily for Deandre. And if you watch the way he hammers the ball down, he almost finesse dunks the ball in instead of thunderously hammering it through. Alright, so he's not a very forceful poster jam type of dunker. So what? 2 points is 2 points, a dunk is a dunk, and maybe Deandre just got up so high, and maybe he doesn't want to put any extra wear and tear on his fingers, that he just kind of wants to guide the ball through. But instead of knocking him for that, maybe we should start marveling at it. So yes, maybe he settles for jump shots way too much, maybe we want him to take more 3-pointers and not look as awkward doing so, maybe he over dribbles when he shouldn't, maybe he under dribbles when he should to take it straight to the rim. And maybe you wanted him to send a real message to his defender by laying the Thor hammer down. But just make sure that you're not always conflating his crafty, skilled, effortlessly athletic game as lazy and a waste of talent. Because for better or for worse, the game comes easily to Deandre. And in the right context and with the right mindset, sometimes there's a lot more better to mine with that type of ease. And as my good old friend Jaja Pachulia once said,
"Nothing easy! Nothing easy!"
But as we've come to learn in this video, Deandre Ayton would beg to differ. Alright, so that'll do it for this video. Let me know what you guys are most excited or concerned about regarding Deandre Ayton this upcoming season in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, and most importantly, please hit subscribe. Let me know if you guys like this video essay sort of format. At the end of the day, I'm a writer, and this is how I like to groove and roll. Anyways, with that said, this has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.